You in on Cooper Kupp?
Oh, hell yeah, I'm in on Cooper Kupp. I love Cooper Kupp. He's maybe the most underrated player in NFL history.
Well,
I think he is.
Feels strong.
Well,
But I understand who I'm talking to.
I am strong in this feeling that I have for Cooper Kupp. That season that he had from a few years ago, I don't think it's talked about enough. He was so good. And then he capped it off, even had the team success, was the Super Bowl MVP. He had he had the football triple crown. And people sort of dismiss it. Now, he's not...
Okay, we're talking about two different things. You're talking about Cooper Kupp's career versus what he is now, right? Cooper Kupp 3 years ago was really good.
But Cooper Kupp, overall, I would say, is wildly underrated.
Okay.
Can we at least agree on that?
Yeah.
No, right now...
Not you, but by the...
Can't possibly be
the
my
general man. We out there, yes, the general public underrates Cooper Kupp, sure.
Okay, but here's the thing. He's not as good as he once was, which is also why he's available. If the Rams were still this, high-flying offense, and they were still great, and he was younger, I don't think they're trying to deal him. So they probably don't want to pay him the next couple of years, but he is somebody that would come in here far and away their best receiver, not even close. Now, hopefully they don't stop there. Nobody thinks they're one wide receiver away from having a great wide receiver room, but if you can add another guy, if you sign T. Higgins, or maybe there's another trade, because he's not going to cost you a first-round pick, a second-round pick. Who knows? He may not even cost you a third-round pick.
I think you're talking day 3. I think you're talking because of his salary. You're going to have to take on some of his salary. Maybe the Rams eat some of it. And I'll have to look at it all. I think he has like a $7.5 million roster bonus, $8 million roster bonus. It's upwards of $30 million in terms of his salary. But you can rework those things. The Rams can eat some of the salary.
Yep.
I really don't care about the salary, but I think that will factor into the acquisition cost, where you're probably talking a day 3 pick.
So the Twitch chat is saying he had one good year. Well, he had one amazing year. He had an all-time year.
Spectacular year where he was first-team All-Pro, and he was the Super Bowl MVP. Yes.
But he was also he had 1 year where he had 1,100 yards on 94 catches and 10 touchdowns, which is a very good wide receiver year.
In fairness, though, to the Twitch chat, he's had 2,000-yard seasons in his career.
But he has also had many more where he was on pace for. This is where it comes into, like, all right, the injuries have been a factor, and that's why you're not going to have to pay a premium compensation-wise for him, right? Because the biggest issue I have with him is just how many games he plays. Every time he's out there, he's good. Like, he's a top 10 wide receiver. I think still the issue is how many games is he going to play?
Yeah, for instance, the year after his Triple Crown year, he played 9 games, but he had 75 catches and 812 yards. So, double those numbers just about, if it was the pace he was on.
No,
I'm not saying you can count on 16 games out of him plus a playoff run. You can't. But extrapolate the numbers when he plays. That's how dominant he was.
So last year, Patriots fans, we all saw him play against the Patriots. I thought he looked pretty good in that game. He's also...
Well, everybody looked good against Patriots.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's a good point.
But he was one of them. Mm-hmm. He was one of them. He just also seems like a pro's pro. So Kendrick Bourne, who was his college teammate, you see him making the pitch for him, like, come on in here. He's like, this guy, like, this team, that position in particular was so immature, was just getting in their way. Like, they were a mess. On the field, they were bad. Off the field, they might have been worse. And I think one way to clean that up is bring in this guy. So even if he's not 1,900 yards and 16 touchdowns, he is somebody that those guys can hopefully learn from. And I think he'd be great for Drake May. Maybe even more important than for Polk and Baker. I think he'd be great for Drake May. He's going to catch everything you throw to him. He's not going to hand the ball to the defense like a lot of guys in the Patriots do. He always keeps his feet in bounds, unlike Jalen Polk in the end zone and things like that. He knows the rules of the game. Now, I'm with you. Durability is an issue. I can't sit here and be like, the guy's healthy as an ox and he's always going to play. Like, no, that would be an issue. But what a massive upgrade for so many reasons on this team.
Yeah, so injuries have been a concern really the last 3 years, right? His first 3 years, he played 15, 8, 16, 15 17. So
I think he also
four out of 5 years, he was basically playing the full year to start his career.
And he also
the last three is 9, 12, 12. That's in 17 game seasons.
Yeah, no, it's not great. But yeah, early in his career too, I think it was they didn't really even know what they had in him because he was a 3rd round pick coming out of Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
So, 3rd round pick's not nothing, but you're certainly not thinking he's like a plug and play. And then he just sort of really emerged and Was Sean McVay his first year? I think he was drafted Sean McVay's year, right?
2017.
I
thought I read today he was like Sean McVay's second pick, something like that.
Yeah. So he might have been.
That might have been his first draft, second pick.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. Yeah, because they were in the Super Bowl in 2018. So Sean McVay's first year, I think, was 17. So he's only played for McVay so far.
So when it comes to Cooper Kupp, I didn't get Patriots fans last year saying, oh, well, why would you trade for Keenan Allen? I'm like, Keenan Allen is a young quarterback's best friend. Not that the Bears worked out brilliantly last year, but that sort of possession receiver I want for a young quarterback.
Although Keenan Allen looks like he ate Keenan Allen.
He looked
I don't know if I
larger
want
last
Keenan
year.
Allen anymore. I wanted him at the time.
I'm saying I didn't get the crying at the time about the compensation for Keenan Allen. They're like, you're a young rebuilding team. Why would you give up a mid-round pick for a wide receiver in his 30s? Because he's a machine over the middle of the field. He has been for his career. Keenan Allen finished as an absolute monster last year. And so I didn't get not being interested in him, and I think specifically beyond the young quarterback, what makes Josh McDaniels' offense go? We talked about this weeks ago. We were listing all these various names. Who would you want? Which wide receiver would you take? Cooper Kupp, now that McDaniels is here, I have qualms about McDaniels being here, but now that he's here and this is the offense you're running, you need a slot receiver. And Cooper Kupp is more than just that. He's not just a slot receiver. He can line up outside, and he can move around the formation, which I think is another strength of his. Mm-hmm. But you need a guy to make it go, and you need a safety blanket for Drake May. So Cooper Kupp is not fixing your offense by himself, but if you're talking about even a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick, a mid-round pick for this guy, and all you're talking about is paying his salary, I think he's well worth that investment for this offense.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Then you bring in another piece.
Well, yeah. And so if people are saying, like, no, I don't want Cooper Kupp, and they want, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, and Travis Hunter, then fine. But, like, I don't think you're getting all four of those guys, three of those guys, two of those guys, maybe even one of those four. I want all those guys, too. But I'm just trying to think of what is realistic. So A.J. Brown might not get traded. T. Higgins might get franchised. DK Metcalf maybe either doesn't get traded or somebody comes in and has a better offer, right? And he goes somewhere else. Maybe Travis Hunter gets picked before you even have a chance. So now there's all these things that might just be out of your control, and you can make a deal for Cooper Kupp. I think you absolutely should.
Yeah, so Cooper Kupp and Travis Hunter. Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins. And that's a big investment at wide receiver. But something like that. Cooper Kupp and a wide receiver, and this is dangerous, Keefe, but a wide receiver at 38. I know Wolf hasn't been great at drafting him.
I don't think I want to do that.
Vrabel and Cowden don't have the greatest track record there either, but okay, but something like that. Kupp by himself is not going to fix your wide receiver room. But if it's him and another piece, and Kupp is a minimal investment,
but your second, third-round pick or your fourth-round pick, whatever you get there. So basically, you're Javon Baker from a year ago. Mm-hmm. If you flip that and get Cooper Kupp for a couple of years, I think it's worth it. Like I don't. You can't pencil him into the lineup for years and years to come. But can he help really ignite Drake May, give that big year two jump? We talk all the time about all the quarterbacks that were like kind of scuffling, added a big-time receiver, and then they kind of launched, and then they're still good even without those receivers. And so Cooper Kupp is not, Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill at this stage of his career, but compared to what you have, he might as well be.
I mean, look, Tom Brady to start his career, if you want to go way back, it's not like they had Troy Brown for, 8 more years in his prime. You got Troy Brown, Pro Bowl caliber, for a year or two to start, and then they started to mix in other pieces around it. I don't know why you couldn't do that with Cooper Kupp. Keenan Allen last year in Chicago. And I look at Adam Thielen early on with Bryce Young. Like, getting him a receiver like that for a couple of years for a minimal investment, I think is worthwhile. So how do you build this team? Where do you attack in the offseason? Especially looking at the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The Eagles heavily invested in wide receiver on top of their D-line and their offensive line and the running back position. Really, the Eagles just invested everywhere across their roster. But where would you start, and what lessons can we take away from the Super Bowl? It's where we started today on Jones and Keefe on WEI.